Hey guys, you may be wondering why I have my valve cover off again if everything was going so great. And well, the long and short of it is that I had to take out and re-torque every head stud after putting on some thread sealant because I put in a new radiator and filled it up, let it cycle a little bit, and then I found a leak in the front of the bottom of the oil pan, so I just threw in a bolt. That seemed to fix that. But then in the back rear studs back here, I noticed something kind of peculiar. It seemed like something was bubbling through the threads, and it turns out that when it gets up to temp, the pressure from the cooling system actually pushed through the water jacket past the threads, or past the head stud and then through the threads. And basically I was kind of afraid that I was just going to do the two rear ones, but I was kind of afraid that it would end up passing through the studs under the valve cover slowly but surely, and that would result in water in the oil, and that would be a bit scary. So I just decided to spend a couple hours and take them all out, and actually something good came of it. So this middle stud right there actually had kind of an issue, or I guess this back stud had kind of an issue where it wouldn't go in all the way, and because of that, it was threaded all the way into the block, but there's some extra room at the bottom of the block where it should sit flush like all the rest of these. But if you look in some of my older videos, that one was sticking out, basically almost touching the valve cover. And I could not, well, when I started taking each of these out in the torque sequence and replacing them and thread sealing them and then putting back in and torquing them, I got to that one and it was stuck. And that was quite scary. So I'm sitting here, I'm doing everything, I'm thinking of everything, and ended up being a combination of some wiggling and some PB blaster and some hopes and dreams. And after that, I finally got it out. But it turns out there are some slight imperfections in this that caused it to not go in all the way. I don't know if it was marring, if it was me being an idiot 10 years ago, or what the deal was, but luckily, for some unknown reason, I had some extra ARP head studs lying around, so I just swapped the head stud, threw it back in, it screwed in just fine, and just kept on going with thread sealer and some new ARP fastener grease. So just got done with all that, so I'm just going to let that sit for a little while. Also torqued I basically retorqued everything while I was going through all this, and it was a good thing because after a couple of heat cycles, a few of them did loosen up just a little bit, so that's great. But yeah, other than that, it's been a while since the last time I made a video. I also made the rest of my intercooler setup for the new engine. Got a few things painted, got these I was trying to make a bad welding joke, but I got some bad welds on there, but it's part of the game. But one thing I was kind of happy with was I spent a lot of time refreshing this grill, and you can see it up there, and I actually ended up having to glue back a handful of pieces that had fallen apart over the years. But after gluing that all back, I really wanted to see if I could fit all this, all the stock stuff in here without, make it look stock appearing, but being able to keep all of my turbo stuff. And it turns out with just a couple of little fabrication points, or not fabrication, even just trimming, I was able to cut this grill mount out, and for this 90. And on top of that, my old 90 used to come a little further out into that high beam hole, but making this into a shorter 90, I'm actually going to be able to fit in the full headlight bezel, which is fantastic because I'll be able to make it stock appearing, which is awesome. So other than that, I also had to whip up a spring because it turns out those are like $5 on OPG, which is insane. A couple other things. I got a parking brake, which turns out is pretty important on manual cars. So that's pretty fantastic. And I also got my speedometer cable, wherever that may be. Well, probably not in the best angle, but regardless, I got my speedometer cable fixed. It turns out in years past I had yanked it out when trying to do an engine, or trying to take the engine out. I'm assuming I must have just forgot about it, yanked it out, and it had really torqued the speedo cable, but after some finagling and some hammering and messing with the cable a little bit, I finally have a speedometer, so that's pretty important, because it turns out I actually went ahead and bought one, and I didn't realize you had to take out the whole dash to put that in, so that was pretty awful, and I really didn't want to do that. The only other major leak I really had was from this fuel pump cover plate, and I was able to just take that off, scrape off the old gasket, throw on a new one, and I haven't started it since I did that, but I can't imagine it would be much of a problem. So other than that, it's going to start getting cold here soon, so I'm going to try and take a few test runs out here. So really I just got to let the thread sealer seat and throw the valve cover back on, fill this up with some more water, and also got to get a new temp gauge. Turns out some pros are not the most reliable gauge packs you can buy, so I got to go to O'Reilly or something and go grab another one to make sure that I'm not overheating my new engine. So other than that, that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys.